Motion to object. That has to be an offer.
Make my little note so I don't lose my spot. Okie dokie.
Question, yes.
Yes.
What is it?
Football team's going to the city of Inglewood.
And we support that.
Okay, so when we say Los Angeles, we're talking about yet another stadium in Los Angeles?
No, we're just supporting the fact that we got a professional football team. We're happy with it.
Oh, okay.
Where, because I can't remember, I didn't really go to the racetrack, but where was Hollywood Park?
Next to the Forum.
There's an
Prairie
Inglewood.
and Manchester.
In Inglewood? Okay, yeah, so that's where they're going to be building the new stadium, but it won't be ready for 2 years, so they are going to be
Using the
at the
Coliseum.
Coliseum, which is LA's venue until then.
Yes, that's
So we at least have some say in it there. We understand that, I mentioned at the last meeting, that it's going to cost $550 million to bring one team here, and it's left open because the Chargers haven't said whether they want to or not. So we do have the Rams, but we don't know if we're going to have two, so that would mean double that. But they did say they surely believe we're going to make over $1 billion the first year in revenues, so that kind of is good. And if we get it for 2 years, that would kind of help the city a lot. Of course, then we have to say where we want it spent. But just so you know, that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. So we get something out of it.
Beautiful. I vote yes.
Thank you. Okay. Myself, yes. Ms. Raines?
She's asking,
Are
yes.
you
They
voting?
want football or not? Yes.
You want me to skip you? I can come back.
Skip me, yeah. Skip me.
Hold on a minute, because I don't want, got a little problem here. We're going to just say absent. Hold on.
Just for the record, isn't abstain still a yes?
No, it's not. It's just it's an either yes nor a no. It's just a,
No vote.
no, it's not considered a no vote. It's not considered a no, it's not considered a yes, it's a limbo vote. It doesn't count either way. Okay, so now, were you abstaining, or did you want me to skip you and go on to the next person?
Skip me.
Okay, that's why I left a blank spot. All right, Jason,
No.
thank you. Okay, Mr. Camara,
Yes.
thank you. Mr. De La Cuesta,
Abstain.
where's that vote? Mr. Friedman,
Yes. Go Chargers.
I like this man. Okay, she's not here. Mr. Hendry,
Aye.
thank you. Mr. Lazarovitz,
Yes.
thank you. Mr. Lynn,
Abstain?
okey dokey. Mr. Martin,
Yes.
thank you. I lost my spot. Okay, Mr. Marabi,
Yes.
thank you very much. Ms. Meyer? Thank you. 1 sec, let me get over there. Okay. Mr. Knoll?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Padden?
Yes, but let's have another women's soccer team.
Ooh, I like that too. Okay. Mr. Robbins?
Yes.
Thank you. And Ms. Skelton?
Abstain.
Okay. We have
I'm gonna abstain as well.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It passes. We have 11 votes.
Mr. President, could I add just a brief afterward about my part of the motion?
Yes, sir. Talk to me.
Actually, the baseball team might be more easily done. The idea of taking part of the flood control channel, especially that northeast corner, it could be a very interesting project. There are baseball teams that are always willing to move at somebody building a better stadium. I can think of 2 or 3 even of these California League teams. It might be a place to move the Valley Fair back. It might be a place to have rock concerts of small size. I mean, if anybody wants to look, go on the internet, look at a place called Dr. Pepper Ballpark in Frisco, Texas. You'll see how cute ballparks can be and turned into multi-purpose venues. And it could be done here. We have the extra space in the flood control channel.
Very good. So that part of the motion, the language is the VNNC to also ask for a California League baseball team in the San Fernando Valley, the baseball team to play out of the flood control district in the Sepulveda Basin. Do we have any objection to that language?
So what are you gonna do with a minor league ball team?
Going once. Going twice. I make a motion that we submit a separate community impact statement calling for a baseball team to come to the valley.
I'll
Second.
With that, I call for the vote, Madam Secretary.
Okay. Who seconded that vote?
Charles.
Mr. Robbins.
Wait, hold on. Before we vote, may I put one amendment in, if we're not too far in? As long as it doesn't displace any existing agricultural facilities in the Sepulveda Basin. I'm speaking specifically about Tapia Brothers. I don't want them getting displaced for a baseball field. We've got tons of baseball fields already. Let's protect the farmers. Thank
Fair
you.
enough.
On the pollywogs.
Kangaroo.
I vote yes.
1 second.
So you could stand on the dam on top of the boulders and see the game or whatever.
Hell yeah.
Is that amendment accepted?
You got it.
We good on the amendment?
Yeah, we can,
Yes, I said the northeast corner. I have no objection to changes.
I'm just saying as long as it doesn't displace any agriculture. That's my main concern.
I have no objection to that either.
All right, cool. Thank you.
One moment.
we're trying to vote. I already voted yes.
I got that. Okay, I just want to make sure I got his amendment. Okay, because I have to put that on there later. All right, George, I already know you voted yes, and Mr. Benjamin is not here, and I'm going to vote yes. Ms. Raines?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Ackerman?
Yes.
Mr. Camara?
Yes.
Mr. De La Cuesta?
Yes.
Mr. Friedman?
Yes.
Mr. Hendry?
Yes?
Mr. Lazarovitz?
Yes.
Mr. Lynn?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Marabi?
Yes.
Ms. Meyer? Mr. Knoll?
Yes.
Ms. Padden? Yes. Mr. Robbins?
Yes.
Figured that, you seconded it. And Ms. Skelton?
Abstain.
Passes, thank you.
All right, next up, 8B, speech and presentation by founder, director, and author of the internationally known Because I Love You parent and youth support groups. They've been in existence in the San Fernando Valley as well as other California locations, the 12 states in Canada for the past 33 years. Over 700,000 parents and youth have been aided by the free self-help meetings in both English and Espanol. Sir, talk to us.
Well, that just about covers it.
Well,
But
then
no,
we're
but I'll tell you a few other things. Why did I start this group? I started it back in 1982 because on the way to my wife's funeral, my 15-year-old daughter turned to me and said, "Daddy, I'm pregnant." Not an opportune time to find that out. 2 weeks later, my 13-year-old son was arrested for selling marijuana on his campus. I was in crisis, didn't have any idea what to do, and went to my family, but they all told me it was my fault because I wasn't a real good father. Went to my friends, but they all had perfect children. And I went to therapy and found out that my children were capable of manipulating the therapist the same way they were manipulating me. Then I heard about a group called Tough Love, and many of you probably heard about Tough Love. And went there, didn't like it, but I liked the premise, so I started Because I Love You. As your president said, George had said, that we're in 12 states and in Canada, and yes, we have had over 700,000 parents and kids go through our groups. Are here in the San Fernando Valley. We've been in the San Fernando Valley for 34 years. We average at our meetings usually anywhere from 50 to 100 parents and 20 to 30 youth in our youth group. The youth have to be at least 13 to attend. We have professional counselors that run our youth group. Our parents are trained that run our parenting groups. And the best part about our meetings is they're free of charge. We are referred by the court system, so we're recognized as a court-ordered parenting classes. Department of Children and Family Services highly recommends us, so we have parents who attend our group that have children as young as 2 and as old as 60.
Whoa.
So we deal with all types of problems, but I will tell you that here in the San Fernando Valley, we are witnessing an epidemic of heroin. And because of that, I would say that probably 75% of the families that are attending our groups right now are dealing with drug problems. And probably of 75% of the 75% of the parents to come are in denial. because they say, oh no, not my kid. And what we do is we give them a drug test and tell them to take it home and test their kid. And probably 50% of those people come back and find out that their kids are using drugs. We also insist that a child that is using marijuana and tells a parent I'm using marijuana, that they still test them. Because first of all, the marijuana that's on the streets today isn't just marijuana, it's been blended with other drugs. Second of all, a kid will own up to thinking that marijuana isn't so serious, so I can say I'm smoking marijuana, and then we find out they're on meth or on heroin or some other drugs.
Died from an overdose.
You're right. Right now, 130 to 150 youth are dying every day from overdoses in the United States. Heroin here in Southern California is one of the cheapest drugs that you could purchase for the kids. And if you ask any youth in high school or even in middle school, if they can get it, they can have it at their doorstep in 10 to 15 minutes. So that's how serious the problem is. Programs like ours are highly recommended by school systems, the counselors, therapists, attorneys, the media. We did the first heroin symposium back in January of last year. We just had a 2-page article in the Times. The media is constantly referring us. I think we're probably the highest referred group in the United States right now, and I think one of the best parts of it is the fact that we're free. The reason I'm coming to you tonight, and I will be going to all the neighborhood councils, the one council that we have been going to for the past 2 years is Mission Hills, and the reason for that is 2 of their people on the board are previous Billy parents. I call it Billy, which is the initials for Because I Love You. And they've been very generous in donating to us every year. We receive absolutely no funding. We have tried grants, and for some reason they don't feel we have a charitable type of an organization that requires giving grants to. So we rely on places like this to keep our doors open. We have no paid employees.
One quick question. Are you a 501?
We are a 501, yes.
Perfect.
We have no paid employees. We're all volunteers. And our meetings are every Tuesday night from 7 to 9:30. We meet at Granada Hills Charter High School. We've been there at that school for 25 years. We are also in Orange County and in San Diego. And we're looking to open up more. We're starting to get more people interested because of the drug problem today here in the Valley. More people are coming to us interested, and so the more we train, the faster we can open up more groups. We'd love to have one out here in the Van Nuys area. We want to have one probably in the west end of the Valley. Our problem with the school system is a lot of schools don't want Billy on their campus because it gives the idea that maybe to parents that, oh, well, maybe there's a drug problem or maybe there's some serious problems on here, so maybe we better not open a can of worms. But once they find out about us and see how good we are and how our success rate is so high, we start getting calls and getting referrals from the schools. Yes.
Yeah, I recommend 2, because for us to give to you, it has to be somewhere in our neighborhood. The Fulton College Prep, which is in Van Nuys on Saticoy at Fulton. It's a middle/high school. And Kester and, excuse me, I did that, didn't I? Kester and Saticoy. It is a middle/high school, and they have a lot of gang-type kids going there, so that would be one place where you might have that problem. The other would be Van Nuys High School. It's actually a pretty good school, but all schools have some problem, even if they don't want to admit it.
Let me tell you a real quick story. We were in Birmingham, which is here in Van Nuys, okay? They have a big drug problem there. We were there for almost a year. We couldn't get more than 2 parents to show up every week.
It's a charter school now, that's why.
Yeah, so they knew about us, and we were doing a lot of advertising, and it was amazing to. But then again, I spoke last night at a PTSA meeting at a school that has 4,500 students. 4,500 students means that there's actually at least 4,500 parents, Probably 9,000 if they all have a mother and a father.
Exactly.
Do you know how many people were in the PTSA meeting?
Probably 15 if that.
9.
Oh, I was close.
And in a high school, when it's the last chance that parents have to have some kind of involvement in their child's life before they hit the streets.
Sweetheart, I volunteered for Fairly Unified for 25 years, and that was one of our biggest problems. And if you'd spoken to the rep who was here for Monica, that would be a good idea. But I would like to know, can you tell us how you get 50 to 100 parents there at all your meetings? Because that is what we need for outreach for here and for all of the other organizations that you want to hit up to work with you. Because believe me, if we could find out how you did that and duplicate it, you'd get a lot more people going to your meetings.
Well, once a parent comes, we get them back. As soon as we get them to the first meeting, I do their orientation. And by the time they walk out of the orientation, they're sold already on the program. If they bring their youth, the youth does not want to come because they think we're going to hang them there. You know, they think, oh, sure, you're going to be putting me up in front of a judge or something. But 99% of the kids that come here for the first time want to come back, and then they end up dragging the parents each week.
Good.
I get parents to come to meetings if I can go to places like this where there are going to be other parents there and I can talk to them. If I get a handful of parents, that's all I need just to get it started. I have 50 to 100 parents because these parents, I've got parents that have been coming to us for 4 years, 5 years. I have one parent that's been coming for 12 years.
Wow.
So that's the thing, is once you come to our meeting, you absolutely, Billy to me is an extended family. I share things at a meeting
You have passion.
that I don't share with my friends outside of Because I Love You, because they wouldn't understand.
Yeah.
And they would judge, and we practice confidentiality, and it's a safe environment, and once we get them there, we keep them there.
How much do you do in Spanish?
We-
You talked about Birmingham is probably mostly Spanish speaking now.
And we do have classes in Spanish. We have teachers in Spanish, and we do our classes in
Oh,
Spanish.
that's good.
Yeah.
Candido.
Thank you, Mr. President. You stated something that you said that the heroin use was up.
Yep.
And then we had one of our council members say, go to Fulton School, because there's a lot of Hispanic gang related. Would you?
I didn't say
clarify that most
Hispanic,
of
I
this
said gang
increase
related.
Is in the white, correct? And a lot of these are Caucasian kids who are getting into the heroin.
May I correct you? I did not say the word Hispanic. I said a lot of gang members, period. Thank you.
All right, gang members, not Hispanic, but gang members.
Didn't
No, it's in the
specify what
upper
kind. They're all
middle class
kinds.
and upper class,
Well,
because
Can we please cut down on crosstalk during presentations?
Thank you, sir.
all
Again,
kinds.
the question is, though, this heroin issue is a big issue.
No, him
to
for saying that.
absolutely.
Affecting the Caucasian community.
Every community in the valley, there's private schools, there the parochial schools, every school is being affected by it.
That's why I was thinking, Mr. Rodriguez, and you should have a conversation, because I think we could, the two of you.
Great.
Every community in the U.S. has a
Exactly.
heroin problem.
Does anybody else have any questions for this gentleman?
Yes, I missed what day of the week, you said 7 to 9:30 at Granada Hills
Tuesday.
Charter High
Tuesday.
School?
Tuesday evenings.
Tuesday.
Evenings.
That's what-
We also have a website, which is www.billy.org, which is a good idea for you to check it out, because there's some great resources and references, and we're always adding. I've authored 3 books, and probably the biggest selling book is Daddy, I'm Pregnant, and that's available online. So you'll hear how I survived and how I got my children to survive. So it was a 8-year. My daughter ran away for 8 years. I had 4 abortions and 2 children out of adoption. And you'll hear how I handled it and how it changed our lives.
So, just out of curiosity, are you in favor of the legalization
No.
of marijuana?
No, I'm not in favor of it. I'll tell you our stand on that. I'm working with Councilman Englander, right? And he's fabulous. And no, I'm not in favor of it. People say to me, well, why wouldn't you be in favor of it? We have, you passed the fact that we can use medical marijuana. I'm not in favor of medical marijuana as it is today. I am in favor of medical marijuana if it's handled properly by proper doctors, not these little green shacks with these quacks that are writing a prescription.
So, if it was handled properly by these types of doctors,
In other words, we've been to, I've been to a couple of to marijuana symposiums. And spoken with the doctors that were there. If an oncologist has a cancer patient who needs to have this in the latter part of their suffering, and he writes a prescription for it, and they take that prescription over to CVS Pharmacy, and CVS Pharmacy has bought it from a proper place, yes, I'm for it. But not when they can go into one of these little shops here that have absolutely no authority to do this kind of thing, except to be, all you have to do is be 18 years old to get in there and just say, I got a headache. I had a parent the other day who said to me, my son's got a medical marijuana card. He's 18. I don't want him smoking. What should I do? I'm out of here?
No, go ahead.
Oh, because he was going time.
It
No,
was
go ahead.
scheduled for 10 minutes. We are over 10 minutes.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Okay, let me just finish this one thing.
No.
My son has a medical marijuana club card. What do? I said, ask him why he's got it. If he's got a headache, take him to a neurologist. If the neurologist says, I will write a prescription for it, then he can use it. If not, don't let him use it. Let him, that's it. And so I'm not opposed to it, and we're not opposed to it, but I will fight as much as I can to have it as a recreational drug. Why should we put another item out there that's going to have problems with our kids driving with it?
So would you be in favor of also prohibiting alcohol?
No, because it's already legal. It's already legal. I'm not
take a drive.
for it. But why add another ingredient? Why add another mind-altering ingredient available to our children today? I don't think it's recreational.
Okay, can we
Thanks.
please move on?
All right, thank you.
Rosemary, did you have a question?
No. Let him speak because this is good.
Michael Jackson went to Birmingham for 1 year. Michael Jackson went to Birmingham.
Right. But there are a lot of other kinds of illnesses that
Yeah, like headaches.
symptoms are very painful. And
Fibromyalgia, migraines. We can get migraine medication.
We shouldn't be.
medical marijuana, that they really deserve to
All I know is that Mr. Mailman sees
So I understand where you're coming from, but we
out on
need
the
to
streets.
All right.
straighten out
There's a
some
lot
of
more
the
people are using it than you think.
kinks of marijuana. But
All right, so $4,000 to election funding.
Years ago. If it gets to that kind of percentage.
No, this is not on the agenda. We should not be discussing this. Please move on to election funding. Thank you.
The president gave him the floor, Jason.
You gave him 10 minutes. It's been 10 minutes. It's been
George,
15.
we had somebody raising his hand and being polite. The young man right there. He was raising his hand to ask the question. Sir?
I was just going to, Greg McGarren, first time here, and actually, to let everybody know, I am a pre-ICO property store president, going and caregivers here in Van Nuys. I am one of the super PAC committee members of property, okay, and the doctors, the stores, the legit stores.
Can you stand up to the mic, please, so we can hear you? Sorry.
Of course, no worries. Hello, and I'm also a Marine Corps veteran, 7.5 years, 3 combat tours, okay, and a USC Marshall School of Business MBA grad,
Okay.
okay? And so,
You're making a ton of money from people that have major problems.
actually, I'm not,
Please.
and that's a personal opinion,
Yeah, I know.
okay?
I got a good one, too.
And so do I. I've been to war 3 times. So I have PTSD and TBI from an IED explosion, okay? I joined the Marine Corps because I love my country, I love my state. I'm born here in Hollywood, okay? The problem is we don't have clear guidelines and rules. The state has already voted, and our governor has already signed on the MMRSA, which is the medical marijuana bill. Whether you like it or not, it's here. The best thing we could do is regulate and enforce. Until we have good regulation, law enforcement can't do their job. And that's why we're having all these issues with Proposition D, because it's a limited immunity bill and not a licensing bill. And that's why it's so hard to prosecute and shut down all the illicit operators. And as far as kids, I have my son's about to turn 19 and he's at Washington State this year. Okay? I'm a medical marijuana patient. I fought, almost died for my country. I have a right to that. Okay? It's my right.
I'm not stopping. I'm not
You know?
advocating to stop.
And as far as the issuing of who deserves it, who's not, that's not the dispensary. That's the doctors. That's the doctors. And you have to hold the doctors accountable for who they give the prescriptions to.
Yeah, and there are a lot of places across the valley, I know of 4, where you can go in there and say, I have a backache, I have a headache, and they write you one, and you go and you get it, and he knows because I'm sure he's nodding yes. I know for a fact, because I used to work right next door to one. I will tell you that that's part of the problem.
That is the
Part of
problem.
The problem is too many people get hooked on the stuff,
Mr.
and
Chair.
the stuff out there
Mr.
right
Chair,
now.
we're out of order.
Real quick, the stuff out there right now.
No, Jeanette, you're out of order.
Potent, it's killing kids.
You're out of
It's not
order.
killing anyone. There has never been a marijuana-related death ever in the history of the country, and that's a fact.
Yes,
Candy.
there has.
Candido.
That's a
Yes, there
fact.
has.
We are
Yes,
still
there
off
has.
topic.
From the edibles.
Okay, guys.
We're having a discussion here, people. We can do this. Candido is recognized. Candido Maraz.
First of all, sir, I honor you for serving in this country. 3 of my nephews are like you, suffering, okay? Like you, they need help, medication. But I also see Ms. Hopp's side of this too, because there is a lot of abuse.
There
You
is.
go up and down Van Nuys Boulevard, and it's not the hero like you, the veteran like you, who's...
Thank you.
It's the guy that abused it, who smoked.
This whole discussion's out of order.
So he called on me, sir, so I'm making out an order after I've been called by the president.
No, I'm
This is
thanking you.
Discussion about the future of our...
You have the floor, Candido.
Ms. Hopp and this gentleman both have a right to be heard as I do. And
I'm
they
agreeing
both
with you.
have
Speak.
They both have valid issues. We
Yes.
need to work out the kinks. And again,
Right.
Absolutely.
I'd just be open to discussion. Ms. Hopp and I fight all the time, but on this issue...
All right. Can I please suggest that since we like to have forums on stuff, that we have a marijuana forum and save these discussions for such an event and get on with our agenda for elections? No, Don, I'm sorry. We really shouldn't have taken those
Rosemary.
comments anyway.
Did you have something?
George, you need to get.
We really need to get through our agenda. We have 25 minutes left.
Hey, no back and forth. 1 sec.
Rosemary is recognized.
Thank you.
So, Ms. Hopp,
As a journalist and otherwise, that I've been involved with litigation with this very issue, getting doctors responsible for prescribing to people who legitimately need it.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, in the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be meeting with Kamala Harris's office, and then subsequently, there's going to be a trial of a particular doctor. That is how we approach the problem.
Thank you.
We have to identify the doctor, get the specifics of what he or she is not doing correctly, and then
Are they allowed to smoke
report
marijuana
it
in
online,
Marines?
and then it goes
You don't
from
know.
there. So we
You know how many of
can
those doctors
go
there are?
after citizens.
More than
We
one.
don't have to be
Thousands.
attorneys to be able to move forward.
Absolutely, and I agree. I agree that there's a big problem, and we have to solve it. But the only way to solve it is to regulate, because it's not going to go away. And it's the only way we're going to give teeth to our law enforcement to do what they need to do.
It's not going to get ready.
Fair enough. All right. We'll recognize Dawn, and then we're going to move on to the elections.
Stories like that.
I'm not against actually medical marijuana, but there is a problem.
Where's Miriam?
Because you can go into a place and have
Can you go pick her
signed
up?
by a doctor that you didn't even see. You go in, my
true.
boyfriend went in, it was, he saw, I think it was a male and, a
see that?
female and a male signed it. So that doctor who signed it may not even be the one that sees you.
Bravo. Thank you for
Right.
the heated debate.
Yep.
Moving on, we are going to address 8C, the VNNC to allocate $4,000 for election outreach, the VNNC to design and print a mailer flyer inviting residents and stakeholders to participate in our April election, the VNNC to include our constituent services guide outlining the services we can assist with, money to be spent on food, mailers, outreach, and other election-related expenses. Tom, come tell us what we're doing wrong.
First of all, sitting here.
Happy New Year, Van Nuys Neighborhood Council.
Yes.
Thank you for your service, Marine. I don't think you're doing anything wrong. You're just woefully behind the 8 ball on this. I am very concerned. I know your website has got some things going, which is cool. And, let me just remind the group, we're far into the candidate filing period. In fact, there's only 3.5 weeks left. So,
Do that.
yeah. Well, when I was here last time, we didn't really even have a election chair or an outreach chair assigned to this.
We voted on.
Well, you voted that night. But I couldn't remember who it was.
We'd actually voted before, and somehow
Yeah.
it got forgotten, because the 4,000 was allocated quite some time ago,
Yeah.
and Maria was supposed to be the outreach chair, and to my knowledge still is. And Mr. Lynn and Mr. Anand were voted as co-chairs at the last meeting for the election,
I know
because
about
we.
Jeff Flynn. I didn't know about the other
Right.
gentleman, and so I've added them on emails.
Right.
Well, thank you. I gave you my card and my number and
Yeah.
everything that night. I haven't heard from you since, till this
I
second.
emailed you
No.
too.
So there you go.
No, that's not correct.
What's not correct?
I'll pull it up.
That you haven't received an email from me since. I'm not going to get into that. That we did here. Let me tell you what we have done. And unfortunately, there was no representation from Van Nuys, the only council of the 9. And that was, we had a joint meeting on Saturday with representatives from all the other 8 neighborhood councils with the proposition of doing some daily news advertising.
That's what I spoke about at the last.
We were following a model that our friends in the northern region of the valley have done with, basically it's a plan for 2 full-page ads on the back cover of Section A, the Valley News. If everybody's in on this, it's going to be about $800. I'm still negotiating, to be honest with you. I had told $700 in the email that I sent. I know you're on the email, and you're on the email, and Maria's on the email.
What email?
About the regional meeting to
When
talk.
was the date of that? I never got an email.
Okay.
Ever.
Okay.
Did you send it to the VNNC account?
Did you get Maria?
No.
I know Ryan did.
But-
I mean, George.
In your defense, you probably did, but I have no access to that email on here, but I
I
sent you
do.
an email from my personal one. So yes, he probably did, but I'm sorry, so
Well,
it's okay though.
yeah. So, George has indicated that your funds could be used for that, and I would encourage that. However, I'm still very, very concerned about the low level of spending that you're allocating. We talked about this at the last meeting, and
I tried to get 10 or 15,000 on the agenda, and the executive committee got it down to 4.
well, you're just not going to have a good election. I mean,
We've never had a good election. That's part of the problem.
well, again, because you haven't spent enough.
We spent more than that in the past. We still do.
No, we had this conversation. There's so many tools. Again, I haven't been invited to an election meeting or an outreach meeting on what you guys are planning so that I can help you with this. I have provided templates and rate cards for all sorts of collateral and marketing materials, including the direct mail piece, by the way. I talked about the social media. There was a great training session last evening for Nation Builder and Nextdoor. I got no response from Van Nuys on this. So, how can I help you guys? What can I do is my question. And I'm not here to argue about it, whether we got an email or we didn't. I mean, I haven't heard from any sort of election or outreach people like, hey, we've got a meeting, we're going to be talking about this and this and this. I mean, so.
Okay, so tell us what you need from us. Mr. Lynn's going to take the lead on this and get us through the election. Mr. Anand means well, but sometimes is not here, so we'll blame him because he's not here. So it's all Paul's fault. But what do we need to do from here on out?
Well,
we have this $4,000 vote.
Yeah.
Easily $800 of it can go to the Daily News ad.
Okay.
We do that every time anyway.
Yeah.
So you have that for
Right.
sure with us.
Right.
We have, 3 weeks for until
3.5 weeks. Do you have any events coming up that you could make cheap flyers to pass out?
We have the Assembly member event.
The job fair.
There you go. When's that?
We have
Is it
the
before
thing-
April or Feb 7?
It's in January.
It's next week, and last year, from my understanding, we had 700 people attend.
All right, so that's a start.
Right. This is just some suggestions, and I've kind of gotten smart, quite frankly, by hearing all the other neighborhood councils and what they're doing. Wait, hang on one sec. a lot of the complaint I hear is like, nobody's interested, it's too hard, nobody's going to, and quite frankly, it's because we're not going to the places where people would be interested. These are your schools, these are your churches, your mosques, your synagogues. I was just at a neighborhood council who was doing a homeless count thing. I mean, if people are coming out to those kinds of events, they're obviously passionate about the community and want to help. You've got your homeowners associations, which by definition are advocates for, smaller regions. Have you gone there? Have you talked about the elections? Have you passed out these flyers? I mean, 4,000, you're done with the numbers because the next board meeting is after but there's cheap stuff, there's all the paper flyers and, your events and walk your neighborhoods. And does your police department have any events coming up? Does the fire department have any events coming up? What about all the people that you've been supporting in the past? Where are they now? It's time for payback. Let us have your database. Let us promote at your events. We've been supporting you. Now you need to support us. I mean, Maria? I'm sorry, this gentleman was first. Yeah.
There's going to be an event February 20th. Actually, they're going to close Van Nuys Boulevard. It's part of the Great Streets that the mayor's doing right now.
Yeah.
And we could do that. That's before the elections. I'm sorry, I wasn't there last month, but I was the one who put the stuff on the website.
Oh, good. So I actually use you as an example for others who have no clue. What am I supposed to do?
No, because I try to figure out, because I knew the election is, and you want to promote it, but
right.
Nobody didn't give me a template, so I just figured it out on my own.
Oh, good. Do you guys use Nextdoor in, whether it be hosted here from your neighborhood council or a neighborhood that you live in? People should, and quite frankly, it's not just Jeff and Marie. I mean, it's the whole board as part of the election committee. I mean, you can't offload this to 2 or 3 people. It's too much. It's too much work.
I mean,
so let me ask you.
Thank you, sir. First of all, I appreciate it, because the job you're having is very difficult. Nobody else wanted, you probably got stuck with it. But the fact is, the question in regards to Mr. Lynn, again, we don't want to argue the issue of the email, but we have to have that communication. You said you sent it to George, so George, you got it, and it wasn't forwarded on to Mr. Lynn. We have to have some kind of communication between this gentleman and the person that's going to be heading up the election. So is there some way that you two right now can set up a meeting one-on-one or something else, and then we can go from there? Because one of the history of Van Nuys has always been the turnout is low.
Yeah.
If you look at the council race for this district, you get about 5,000 you're elected city council person. So it trickles down all the way. The fact is that the lower you keep your numbers, the more chances the people sitting up there are going to get elected, because most of them get elected with 50 votes.
Right.
That's that. 50
Right.
votes, where I think you see in other councils, they get about 100. So the numbers, we do have to increase those numbers. We have a short period of time, so it's very important that you communicate with Mr. Lynn and we get this done right, because, again, we have a lot of good people out there that should be on the board, and it'd be nice to see some new faces, because some people just seem don't want to go away. So we need
Right, and it's I explained it last time, it's a two-phase. First is a call for candidates, because if you amp up the number of candidates, by definition, you're going to have more votes. And you're going to have, quite frankly, those individuals will be saddled with the burden of doing the campaigning, right? Because they want to be voted. So, Jason?
So I'd like to make 2 suggestions. One, that we amend this motion to double at least the amount to $8,000 for elections outreach. And 2, that we, like you said, use social media platforms. Facebook advertising is very cheap. You can target it by zip codes. If you don't want to target people outside Van Nuys, we can target that over specific periods of days. And that's a very effective tool. We've used that in Encino to raise awareness about certain issues, especially our Taste of Encino event. It's proven pretty effective at driving traffic to our website, so I see no reason why we can't use that as a low-cost outreach tool. But yeah, I mean, 4,000 is pretty low.
I appreciate that. I still like to just
sure?
throw out ideas. We were at Toluca Lake the other night, and they were chatting about their presence at the farmer's market, and I was waiting for somebody to say, hey, that'd be a good place to like flyer. Nobody did. It's like, no, we're not thinking of it. We need all the brains, not just one or two people. I don't know if you have a farmer's market, or I don't know. All of your schools, they have PTA meetings. These are people who are interested in the community and improving it. It was great during the holidays because there's a lot in my district. There's a lot of performances and that kind of thing. So it was fun to not only see the kids, but we had a Christmas tree, sale. I feel bad that you guys didn't do much since our last meeting.
Where do we find the application?
He's put a button on the website that hyperlinks to empowerla.org. You could go there, but why don't you test his tool?
It's on there? Oh, okay, then I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Or Empower LA.
And then if you have any problems, you can actually talk to Quirino?
Yeah.
Quirino da Costa. It's a Filipino name.
First time someone's hacked.
Terrific.
the name.
What was the other thing I wanted? So I happened to ran into Councilmember Rue on Thursday. And again, I'm at my own, selfishly for my own neighborhood council, which he, I'm in CD4 in Hollywood United. I knew he was going to be speaking at Griffith Park on the 20th, which in my region is 3 days after filing opens. And I said, Councilmember, I need you to shout out that, these elections are coming. I've got several in my region who already are in the candidate filing process. It includes, Sherman Oaks and, a couple of these. But on the other hand, the reason I'm late, apologize, I was at the North Hollywood, Midtown North Hollywood meeting, and they had a representative of Council Member Krikorian. That's your council member, right?
Yeah, part.
And I did the same appeal. I said, Council member, we need to have you supporting us. If you're at an event, you need to shout out. You need to allow us to have a table for sign up. And he got it right away. He was saying, and one of his deputies, we have to have this in our newsletter. We have to have this on our website. We have to blast this out. I need to take this to the city council. I mean, it's like, so I would encourage you guys to use your city officials. We've got connections with our federal congressmen, all these people who, again, the individuals who are going to come to see these people or participate in town halls, they're the ones interested in community. So, again, I mean, it's a lot of work, but you guys got to get together and make a plan. I don't want to browbeat you, but I don't see a lot of energy here.
What happens if we don't get organized? The election will not go off here in Van Nuys?
Oh, no, it will go off. But like I mentioned last time, I think you had a little over 100 voters for 150,000. It's laughable. It shows, and quite frankly, you're a council member, it shows you don't really represent the region. You're just people who have been on this board. Nothing personal, Mike. I hope
I went door to door you can't believe how many neighborhoods and left flyers.
What's that?
I went door to door, knocked on doors, and went and left flyers.
Yeah.
To I can't tell you how many houses in my neighborhood and nearby.
Yeah.
And I would probably venture to guess if maybe 5 people came, if anybody.
Yeah. Again, that's a little bit of a shotgun approach as opposed to a targeted rifle sniper shot. Just saying. What did I want to share with you on that? One of the big tools that city has made available to all of us is Nation Builder, which is a database of all registered voters. People already interested in voting, right? And, they had a training session on how to utilize that tool. And if you're just a private person, you have to pay money for this access. And it's not cheap. But we get it for free. And the good thing about it is you can integrate that, those records into your database for your emails. And do you have a newsletter blast and
We're working on it.
showing what's coming up? And
No.
I mean, we're in communication quite a bit with Twitter
Other
and
entities. We have
Facebook
a,
and emails.
Paper which our president.
But we don't have the newsletter now.
Editor of a paper. Newspaper.
so, Maria?
I can say, George, I have been sending you texts and let me know if there is any type of a meeting. So I guess there was none. But I'm going to show you, I sent you one in December the 15th. But I have been going to other council meetings, and your representatives are always there, and other council meeting members are doing different things, which is great. So what I did, I came up with, a few years ago, I came up with it, with doing it here, but it was too much. So I took it to some other boards, and they want to do it.
Yeah.
They want to advertise at the DNV, the local DNV.
That's a great one.
Example only, and this is only by example. If they charge $10,000, and it's only by example, I don't know. If they charge $10,000, now you have 5 or 6 council members that want to advertise, then that means now the other council members doesn't have to pay so much. So I'm
Exactly.
working with some other council members that want to do it. I have a meeting with them on the 27th to come stop by the DNV, because you think if you're there for 3 hours
Yeah.
or more, the video would be shown, no speaking, a video will be shown every 15 minutes, almost 4 times an hour, basically. So that let people know about your council, about your elections and things that's going on. So I am working with that, and I was just trying to wait until when something happens, but I did step out and I
You
went to
can't
other
wait. You
boards.
got to just take the initiative.
Well, I don't have the pen and as well as the money to pay for it, so I can't
But you
turn
can
around and say it.
Quite frankly, you should have planned all this out and then presented
I
it
did.
to the board.
That's why I just said I
with
have a meeting on the 27th with the people, so. thank
27th
you.
of December.
No, it's the 27th that's coming up because that's my next off day.
You realize that's only like not even 2 weeks to the.
Well, you have to realize that I have to wait until when everybody else tell me when they are allowed to meet. It's not just on me. I have to wait
Okay.
for them to meet.
I don't know what the dynamics are, but what else can I do to help?
This is going to sound silly. Everybody says they would have the perfect PSA to do, but is anybody going to do any media? I had an idea, for instance. Anybody
You mean like
doing media where they would make a
electronic
pay?
media? Electronic media?
Yes.
I've heard some neighborhood councils have that in their budget. Yeah,
Also cable. Yeah, I mean,
and cable.
cable allows you to segment. You can at least,
Yep.
the valley can be one package, and,
This gentleman should be on the committee. I mean, there
you know, I had my own PSA idea. I would love to have pitched to somebody. Where would I go?
I'll find out. I'm not sure, but that's a good one.
Question, George?
Yes.
In regards to Channel 35, can neighborhood councils go on there and actually present themselves as candidates for different areas of the city?
Remind me what Channel
Channel
35 is?
35 is the
City
citywide,
View.
City Channel.
Yeah, that's where they council people who are running for.
Probably not. I'm sorry, probably not, because, yeah, I will, but just remember, it sort of falls into that same category, like, neighborhood council can't promote one candidate over another.
No,
We
they just
can-
give you the
Right.
format to present yourself. Remember,
I'm gonna-
there's over
I think if they're-
Like the
people
i-
watch the cable station. So
Yeah.
if we were, all the neighborhood councils were, if they had to pay, would pay the Channel 35, we would reach out to more people, probably have a.
Or maybe it's free, you know?
I think if Channel 35 could be a resource for neighbor council elections, it would be region-based, and it'd be like, if if you live in the following areas, we want, please run for, and you want to get involved in neighbor councils, here's the deadline to file, here's the election, here's the voter registration deadline, please go out and empower LA, kind of thing. I don't think we could do individual candidates, but we can definitely do regions or maybe board, outreach.
Yeah.
With Channel 35.
Yeah.
I mentioned before, but no
Janet?
one did it, that you can also have announcements on radio and television.
Yes.
Free for community things. You can mention, I've forgotten what it's called now, but they make announcements.
Well, it's like a PSA, I mean, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. So you can have that done on all the major radio stations and all of the major television stations. CBS owns K-Earth, K-Rock, and I'm not sure what else, but I think KTLA too, or Channel 9. So that's a big conglomerate now that you can have that will access a lot of different areas, and it's free.
There you go. I mean, part of this is...
Service announcement.
Yeah, I mean, I can get some answers from you. Again, there was a deck that I left here that had a lot of information about contacts and vendors identified and rates and costs. I mean, what else can I do?
What do we need to do to move forward?
I would recommend that a committee get a meeting ASAP. I think the 27th is too late.
Like an ad hoc?
Yeah, make it an ad hoc meeting, special meeting. You don't have to post it, 48 hours and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's the issue. If it's board members only, then you have to limit it to whatever your maximum is per subcommittee. What is it, like 5? Here in this?
As far as board members on a subcommittee?
Correct.
I think 3.
But if you make the meeting a special board meeting, then you would have to post it 48 hours in advance because the public is invited. But that way you get all the bodies together. I mean, does the public really want to listen to you guys come up with ideas? Or maybe again, if you could get the smaller subcommittees together and focus and come up with a plan, then have a special board meeting to have them vote it through, You present it. I mean, I don't know how your neighborhood council works. I mean, the ones that I've been on, basically work is done in the subcommittee and then it's just presented to the board for approval. By the way, I'm not advocating that the board, you approve copy by consensus of 23 people. It'll never happen. You have to have something that you just present and said, this is our recommendation. Yes?
I want to make sure that I have your email right because I sent it on December the 15th. HEITMEYER@earthlink.net.
No.
No?
No, I gave you Tom at empowerla.org.
Business card. Can I have
or
your card
Tom
again?
Meredith at AOL.
Okay. Can I have your card again, please?
Yeah, sure. And I would recommend you get those and get them posted according to whatever the configuration is as soon as possible.
Thank you.
So, council, what do you want to do? We'll have a special meeting in regards to the election. We'll let Mr. Lynn have a committee meeting. How do you want to handle this? It's now.
Can we decide on a date
Thank
to
you.
do it on?
Thank you, Tom.
Oh, I wanted to mention one other thing. Like, if you're having an event coming up, like at the Toluca Lake Farmers Market, they've issued me an iPad. No, it's not an iPad, it's a tablet. But I can register somebody to be a candidate on the spot, and I'd be more than happy to come out. And quite frankly, anybody want to register tonight, I'll hang out.
Yeah.
Sure.
If you don't,
Yes.
then I want to go home. You can go on.
Do you have a card?
The point is, you're going to have to go online anyway, because you're probably going to have some documentation that you have at home.
Yeah.
But I can start, in other words, I could start you in the registration process, and then it's stored with you're going to create a username and password, and then when you go in it again, it's got all your populated data, and then you can add your stuff. So, quite frankly, I've seen this a couple of times. It's not the way to do it. I'll be honest with you.
Phone, lights and stuff, right?
So, we can establish when we're having the special meeting later, but we have $4,000 for election outreach to be voted on. Mr. Ackerman wanted to raise that to $8,000. It's my understanding we can mess around with the number all we want. Do we have any objection with it being 8,000?
Yes.
I think it's a waste of money, but okay.
Okay, well,
But the God said I have to.
what do you want to do?
Thank you, God bless you, honey.
How about
Yes.
6,000?
Candido?
You know,
Well, I'm sorry that
Well,
you didn't get him.
well, but honestly, the 4,000 is, I'd rather see go to the community. Is it really gonna impact the difference?
Me too, because
Really,
we just don't get the turnout.
Keep that money so it can impact the community as a whole, rather than blowing $4,000 on advertising that's gonna bring in very little any service. I mean,
We should at least do some outreach for our elections.
Yeah. We need to have Mr. Lynn get in touch with this gentleman and see if he can get in on the
You have 2 junkets.
Daily News ad. Pardon me, I just took a bite. So that we can,
One
pay $800 or less for our share toward having that full-page ad, which we did before, because that is good outreach and better than nothing at all.
John, are you going to run again?
That's one
You
way.
can run again
And
in
then whatever else you want to do, but
Okay.
personally, I think that's excellent.
I will, but I don't know if I want.
If I may respond to discussion, I see the merit of what Candido is talking about. That would definitely, we need to spend that money in the community.
Yep.
But at the same time, we need to make sure that the community even knows we exist. And elections are historically one of those major opportunities for neighborhood councils to do so. And just because we're authorizing up to $8,000 doesn't mean we have to spend all $8,000. And we can spend that part of the $8,000 in election outreach also on sponsoring community events that we're going to be tabling at to talk about these elections. So it doesn't necessarily have to be, limited to advertising, but we definitely need to beef up our budget, and we definitely, I think, at least should have enough money to send everybody in Van Nuys a piece of mail, come election day. That I know it's expensive. That's why I'm saying up to $8,000, because to let the people know, A, we exist, B, what we do, and C, hey, you can vote for us.
And then what
And
you
here's
have
how.
to do, Jason, is translate it into Spanish, because the majority of the people in the neighborhood speak Spanish.
Well, duh.
They don't read it. So if
Two-sided
you could, but that's going to cost you even more. So think about what you're asking, because it's quite expensive.
La opinión.
I think democracy is worth every dime,
Well, I
personally.
agree too, but I'm telling you, it's a lot of money, and will it get a lot more votes out?
We'll tell the council.
Has it ever been tried?
Our budget.
Candido?
Thank you, Mr. Jason, I love your enthusiasm, but we have a history here in Van Nuys of spending large sums of money to get out the vote, and they have brought very little.
Nothing, yeah. Just didn't work.
Experience that some of the council members have. We've seen those dollars spent, and very little has come back. There was one election where I forget what we spent, 12, 14,000, and the turnout was still minimum.
Have we ever highlighted the fact that you don't need to be a citizen to vote in these elections? Because that is true
No,
of this election.
You don't.
And that I think is a barrier for a lot of people from voting, is citizenship. Whereas if we stress the fact that you do not have to be a citizen to vote in these elections or to run in these elections, I think, and put that out in Spanish, since that seems to be the majority of the non-citizen, or documented resident population language, that would help a lot.
We'll talk about it all night.
Very interesting, but a lot of members, some members of the board here would be opposed to that because.
Why don't we just vote on the 4,000 and be done with it?
Yes. That's all.
All right.
I make a motion, we adopt the language in 8C as
I
is.
second it.
With that, I call for the vote, Madam Secretary.
Thank you.
I can go all night,
Yeah, exactly.
talk about
We're
it.
the Van Nuys Neighborhood Council. That's what we do, right?
Yeah. I mean, if, yeah.
We've been here till 1 a.m., yes, but I don't think.
I don't want to do that. Thank you. Okay.
February.
Let's go.
We're gonna be here
Right,
till
right.
3 in the
Okay,
morning.
language as is. Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Ms. Raines?
She stepped out.
She stepped out. Mr. Ackerman?
Yes.
Mr. Camara?
Yes.
Mr. De La Cuesta?
He's out.
Mr. Friedman?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Henry?
Aye.
Mr. Lazarovitz?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Lynn?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Marabi?
Yes.
I'm good.
Ms. Meyer?
Yes.
Mr. Knoll?
Yes.
Ms. Padden?
Yes.
Mr. Robbins?
Yes.
Ms. Skelton?
Yes.
Thank you. Passes.
Bravo. Next up, we have 8D, the VNNC to support a community impact statement supporting the freedom of religion clause of the United States Constitution. This is going to be a tough one, guys. We're going to be supporting the Constitution of the United States, all right? It came from the Muslim stuff that was going on. The First Amendment to the United States Constitution prohibits the making of any law respecting an establishment of religion, impeding the free exercise of religion, abridging the freedom of speech, infringing on the freedom of the press, etc. So
You can't do anything and support the Constitution because you're not a federal, okay?
Okay, very good.
Only the federal can do.
That's okay. So this